Hello and welcome to the Seinfeld Chronicles. On today's episode, we'll be talking about Season 1, Episode 3, The Robbery of Seinfeld. My name is Giorgio Cavaciuti. I am the resident Seinfeld expert. So, let's get stuck right in. So the plot of this episode is basically Jerry is going away to perform some shows in Minneapolis. He's going to be gone for 4 days, so he's getting Elaine to house sit. When he's leaving, George mentions that there's an apartment that he thinks Jerry should move into. It's really good, really nice. Jerry's not interested. He likes his current place, even if there are some odd quirks with it, whatever else. When Jerry returns, however, he discovers that he's been robbed. This is due to Kramer coming in to borrow a spatula and then leaving the door open. After Jerry discovers that he's been robbed, he's really annoyed by this, and he decides to take George's advice and look at the other place to move into. So this goes down into George and Jerry and Elaine all go to visit the new apartment. George has never seen it before. Jerry hasn't seen it before. So they're looking around. They're all amazed by how nice the place is, how little rent it costs. It's right near the park. It's got a garden. It's got a fireplace. They're all in love with it. Jerry decides to take it. Decides to move in. It seems like that's oh, okay, done for. The next scene, you're back in Jerry's apartment. He basically starts signing the lease, and George mentions that if there's any reason why you don't want to sign it, don't worry about it. I'll take it. Jerry decides that they'll do choose for it. I don't know what choose is. It's probably an American game that I don't know nothing about. Anyway, they do best of three. Jerry wins best of three. Jerry wins best of three, and George is obviously furious, but they said, winner gets it.
Once, twice, three, shoot! Mine! Once, twice, three, shoot! Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Just gonna... Why did I put out two? Why did I put out two?
The next scene, they're back in the diner. George and Jerry are talking about the apartment and stuff, and they basically come to the conclusion that neither of them can live there because no one would be happy with going there, visiting, whatever. A waitress overhears this and basically says that she needs a new flat, and whether she what the rent is. Cut to the housewarming party for the waitress, and they're all miserable there because none of them get to move anymore. They're all sitting in this nice flat that they all could have had, but none of them have it now, and they're all basically hearing about how great the flat is. And eventually it ends with someone else at the party mentioning that they've got a flat to move, and all of them going oh, how much is the rent? Can we move in there, basically? For me, this episode is probably the best written so far out of the series. It feels very much like it has a beginning, middle, and end. It feels a little bit less like the previous episodes where they just kind of happen. It feels like there is a plot in there, but it's a plot about nothing rather than just nothing happens. It's also a lot more consistent in the comedy of it. There's never a dull moment in it. There's never a moment where you're nothing's really happening here. It's always there's a joke, there's a joke, there's a joke, there's a joke, rather than the previous episode where it was funny, 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 serious, funny, 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 serious, funny, funny. Some of my main concerns with this episode, the first one was Jerry's stand-up. Some of the topics that he decided to choose for it didn't really fit for me. There was one part at the end where he's talking about kid rituals and how if someone calls it as a kid, then that's the end of the discussion. It's just how it is. But that doesn't work as an adult. I thought that kind of fit well with the game of choose and the flipping the coin to decide the apartment. However, there was a bit about giving the finger, and I felt that completely was out of place for the show. I also was really disappointed that they didn't expand more on Kramer's B plot of like investigating the British guy, because in later episodes you definitely see Kramer's like wacky adventures and stuff, and like sometimes they're the highlight of the episode really. And I thought it was just really disappointing that they didn't explore it. There was obviously like intention there, but they must have run out of time, which is a shame because I would have removed more of the Seinfeld stand up and added more of that. But you know, you can't have it all. There's still early doors, only the third episode. I really like that this was the first episode with all of the main characters in it, and I thought it was interesting that you got to see the chemistry, like the chemistry work between like Jerry and George, Elaine and Kramer. Like any character interacting with Jerry just worked really well, but the chemistry between like George and Elaine, or Elaine and Kramer, wasn't really there yet. Like you can see the buildings of it, but like it's not like connected yet. There was a really good bit of foreshadowing. Like it was like Christopher Nolan levels of like foreshadowing, like Inception levels of like big brainness. If they did it on purpose, it's like, I just thought it was really impressive considering it's like a sitcom in its first season. But at the very start of the episode, George is buzzed up by Jerry, and Jerry opens the door and he's kind of fiddling with this lock, and it looks like it's a pretty big lock first of all, and then like it's a pretty big lock, but also it takes Jerry a little bit of like extra time to undo it. Now this might just be like a prop malfunction or something like that, but later on in the episode, Jerry starts talking to Kramer about how he doesn't have insurance because he bought this really great lock that basically, if you close the door, nothing can get through it, but you have to close the door, which Kramer didn't. And I just thought that was like, if it was deliberately done where they showed that he kind of struggled with the lock a little bit, I thought that was like really good, like detail foreshadowing, like really good, like prop work. Like it's just something I wasn't expecting to see really. Like I noticed it going like, oh, he must have fumbled with it, and then later on they bring it up again. I was like, oh, that might have been deliberate, and if so, then fucking bravo Larry David, bravo Seinfeld. Like it's just brilliant. I really thought that was like an impressive moment.
George? Yeah.
Okay, so now, is there anything else I need to know?
Look, Jerry, I'm sorry. You have insurance, right, buddy?
No.
How can you not have insurance?
Because I spent my money on the Clapco D29. It's the most impenetrable lock on the market today. It has only one design flaw. The door must be closed.
Overall, I thought this episode flowed really well, and it was like very consistent, very good. There were still bits that weren't like to the highest level, but it was still like, it was a good episode of TV, you know. Like I think it beats like the majority of episodes of like other sitcoms that I've watched. Like half the shit that's on TV and stuff, it's still better than all of those. And you can really see that like it's like starting to be like Seinfeld. So for this episode, I'm going to give it the rating of 6 out of 10. It's by far the best episode that like of the season. Like it blows the other ones out of the water. Only a 6 out of 10 because there are those other flaws. However, those can be easily repaired. And I don't think like, while I enjoyed the premise, I don't think it's like as like out there premise as you could get. So yeah, 6 out of 10 rating, pretty good episode. That means that it's going to be at the top of our Seinfeld meter. I'm probably pointing in the wrong direction here, but you know, whatever it was, is it there? I don't know. But yeah, 6 out of 10, highest rating on the Seinfeld meter, is absolutely best episode so far. Hopefully it only gets better from here. So that's the end of this episode. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you'll watch again next week. Cheers.